Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Rukmini Dwarkadish, Rukmini Dwarkadish, Rukmini Dwarkadish, Rukmini Dwarkadish. Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Sai Gaur Premanandi. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Vrijakacharya Satoshi Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Vrijakacharya Satoshi Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki. Gaur Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from 3rd Canto, Chapter 31, Text 35. Lord Kapila's instruction on the movements of the living entities. Na tathāsya bhaven moho bandhaś cānya-prasaṅgataḥ yoṣit-saṅgād yathā puṁsaḥ yathā tat-saṅgi-saṅgataḥ na tathāsya bhaven moho bandhaś cānya-prasaṅgataḥ, yoṣit-saṅgād yathā puṁso, yathā tat-saṅgi-saṅgataḥ, na tathāsya bhaven moho, bandhaś cānya-prasaṅgataḥ, yoṣit-saṅgād yathā puṁso, yathā tat-saṅgi-saṅgataḥ, na tathāsya bhaven moho, bandhaś cānya-prasaṅgataḥ, yoṣit-saṅgād yathā puṁso, yathā tat-saṅgi-saṅgataḥ, Vaishnavis. Na, not, tathā, in that manner, asya, of this man, bhavet, may arise, moha, infatuation, bandhaḥ, bondage, cha, and anya-prasaṅgataḥ, from attachment to any other object, yoṣit-saṅgād, from attachment to women, yathā, as, puṁsaḥ, of a man, yathā, as, tat-saṅgi, of men who are fond of women, saṅgataḥ, from the fellowship. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The infatuation and bondage which accrue to a man from attachment to any other object is not as complete as that resulting from attachment to a woman or to the fellowship of men who are fond of women. Purport. Attachment to women is so contaminating that one becomes attached to the condition of material life, not only by the association of women, but by the contaminated association of persons who are too attached to them. There are many reasons for our conditional life in this material world, but the topmost of all such causes is the association of women, as will be confirmed in the following stanzas. In Kali Yuga, association with women is very strong. In every step of life, there is association with women. If a person goes to purchase something, the advertisements are full of pictures of women. The physiological attraction for women is very great, and therefore people are very slack in spiritual understanding. The Vedic civilization, being based on spiritual understanding, arranges association with women very cautiously. Out of the 4 social divisions, the members of the first order, namely brahmacharya, the third order, vanaprastha, and the fourth order, sannyas, are strictly prohibited from female association. Only in one order, the householder, is there license to mix with women under restricted conditions. In other words, attraction for women's association is the cause of the material conditional life. And anyone interested in being freed from this conditional life must detach himself from the association of women. Translation again. The infatuation and bondage which accrue to a man from attachment to any other object is not as complete as that resulting from attachment to a woman or to the fellowship of men who are fond of women. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakti Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam in the 12th canto is described as the Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavam Priyam, that it's a perfectly pure, spotless Purana, Vedic literature, containing the essence of all the other Vedic literatures. Tatra jnana vairagya bhakti sahitam naishkarmayam. That Srimad Bhagavatam is written and put together in such a way that it can make us free from all material work by putting together this transcendental knowledge which is combined with renunciation and devotion. And so we see the standard from Srimad Bhagavatam of the society, how the society is arranged in such a way for making spiritual advancement in every step. We are seeing throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami sets the standard for a real human civilization. The first 9 cantos are oriented and designed in such a way that we can prepare ourselves to approach directly to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the lotus face of Krishna. And it progressively prepares our consciousness, our attitude, that we can see Krishna face to face. So Srimad Bhagavatam is giving us beyond material religiosity, economic development, dharma, artha, sense gratification, kama, liberation, moksha. Srimad Bhagavatam is giving us the 5th platform, the prema pumartha mahan, the devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, we see how we can become aware of our actions, our behavior in this material existence, how there are consequences to our activities. Because often we live in a society where we are made to think that we are living in an isolated environment and we can do whatever we want to fulfill our desires, our aspirations. As long as we can fulfill our dreams, that's the success, that's the goal of life. Doesn't matter if there are any other consequences occurring or any other living entities are being harmed. But when we read the Vedic literatures, we understand that no, there are reactions, there are consequences for every action that we perform. And one of the prime limbs of bhakti is discrimination. That when we start practicing bhakti yoga, we start to discriminate what we should eat, what we should hear, and similarly who we should associate with. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Lord Chaitanya is giving Sanatana Goswami the teachings, when Sanatana Goswami escapes from the prison, and after much trials and tribulations, he comes to Varanasi at the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya. Lord Chaitanya instructs Sanatana Goswami on the principles of devotional service. And one of the lessons that Mahaprabhu teaches Sanatana Goswami is anukulasya sankalpa pratikulasya varjanam, that we should accept things which are favorable for our devotional service and reject things which are unfavorable for our devotional practice. So that means that as a devotee we have to discriminate what things will accelerate our bhakti, lata bij, the seed of devotional service, and what activities, what kind of environments will impede, will restrict, will hamper our bhakti progress. So it's not that when we start practicing spirituality, when we start practicing Krishna consciousness, we can just be laid back and just, be on a autopilot mode, just do whatever we want to do, just not think about what kind of activities we are doing, or so on and so forth. So the point is that we have to be practical in our execution of devotional service. We have to use our intelligence and see how we can create environments, create situations which will accelerate, which will increase our growth of devotional service. As we know from the Bhagavad Gita that the material nature that we are living in is very strong, is very powerful. As Krishna says in the 13th chapter, Purusha Prakriti Stohi Bhunkta Prakriti Jan Gunan, that the living entity in the material nature is just following the ways of life being dictated by the three modes. Karanam gunasangasya sadasad yoni janmasu, that the living entity just thinks that they themselves are doing activities, but actually they are dictated by the modes under the association of material nature. And so before we came into Krishna consciousness, we all were just going on an autopilot, not knowing how we are being dictated. Because in an ordinary material life, we don't really feel that our activities, our lifestyle is being dictated by something higher. We think we have control, we can choose, we have freedom to do whatever we want. We have so many options that we can take up. But when we start reading Srimad Bhagavatam, we start to understand how we are conditioned by these three modes, how we are influenced and directed to act in certain way by these three modes. And that's why Mahaprabhu says the first character of a devotee, of a Vaishnava, is to remove themselves from the association of non-devotees, asat sangatyagi a Vaishnava achar. Because when we associate with people, we take up their desires, we take up their aspirations, we take on their mood. Our association, as it is said, if you want to know someone, find 5 people that they hang out with, that they associate with, and they will be a combination of those 5 people. And so when we are associating with people, we might be thinking, what's the big deal? Why can't we, just hang out and associate with materialists? And I don't drink, I don't party, but it's okay. I have control over my senses. I can just hang out with some friends who like to party and like to go places. I wouldn't be influenced by their association. But no, that's not true. Even psychologist admits that when we associate with people, we start to take on their desires, we start to take on their goals, their aspirations. And so an intelligent person would stop themselves from interacting with people who base their life on matter, who base their life on the understanding that they are the body and the goal of life is to satisfy the body. In Nectar of Instruction also, Rupa Goswami says, Atyahara prarascha prachalpa niyamagraha jana sangas chalolyam, that one should restrict himself or herself from association with worldly minded persons. And so all the acharyas in our line understand that the association of materially minded people, association of material existence is very dangerous. The material nature is very formidable. You can't really win over it. You can't really get a grasp over it. And so throughout the Shastras, it is advised strongly to restrict oneself from association with material existence. Because as Krishna himself says, Daivi Esha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratyaya, that this material nature is very difficult to overcome. It's very strong. Even when we know about how strong the illusory energy is, if we are not practicing, if bhakti yoga, if we don't have any tools and equipments to protect ourselves, even though we might read about it, we can still become influenced by the illusory energy. That's how strong it is. However, Krishna continues to say, Maam eva ye prapadyante, mayam etam tarantite, that however, although the illusory energy, the material existence is very strong, but one can easily overcome it by taking shelter of Krishna. And what does it really mean, taking shelter of Krishna? Taking shelter of Krishna means taking shelter of the devotees, taking shelter of the representatives of Krishna. And that's one of the founding principles of our bhakti yoga practice. Association of devotees is everything. In Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada writes in one of the purports that the beginning of Krishna consciousness is by association of persons who are Krishna conscious. That's the beginning of our spiritual life. That's the beginning of our bhakti yoga practice. I was just reading Chaitanya Charitamrita the other day, and in Madhya Leela, when Mahaprabhu is asking Ramananda Roy, he's having a conversation and he's asking Ramananda Roy different questions about how one can advance in spiritual life. Mahaprabhu asked at one point, what is the best auspicious and beneficial activity for the living entity? And Ramananda Roy replies, Krishna Bhakta Sangha Vina Shreya Nahi Ar. Ramananda Roy says that the only auspicious activity for the living entity is the association with the devotees of Krishna. So that shows how important association of devotees is for us, for our spiritual life. And we should think and use our intelligence how we can maximize that association throughout our day. As we are reading in the purport that we should avoid the association of worldly minded people who are attached to sense enjoyment, it will be very difficult to perform something negative. It's like, okay, don't do this, don't eat meat, don't eat fish, no alcohol, no intoxication, no this, no that. So one can easily become overwhelmed. What should I actually do if there are so many do nots? But the best way to overcome the lower negative nature is by taking up something higher. It's like Prabhupada would often give the example of children who just like to play all day, but eventually when they grow up, their activities changes because they get a higher taste in their activities. And so similarly, unless we take on a positive which is higher, which is on a higher platform, we will never be able to give up the negative. Otherwise we will just be walking traumatized individual. Oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. No, oh, walking on the streets. Oh, I can't look at this billboard, can't look at this, can't go here, can't go there. So lock myself in my room and can't just go out anywhere. Maybe go somewhere in the forest or in some farm countryside. So we have to understand that the Krishna consciousness process is the solution, is the panacea that can equip us, that can protect us from being contaminated. Just like during the pandemic, everyone locked themselves in their houses from the fear of the contamination of the virus. So similarly, we should be afraid of the contamination from material nature, from material existence. And we protect ourselves by taking the vaccine of bhakti yoga process, the vaccination of devotional service. I think this is in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Madhya Leela again, Lord Chaitanya again says, Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Hai Sadhu Sangha, that the root cause of devotional service to Krishna is the association with advanced devotees. That's the root cause. Krishna Prema Janma Tenho Puna Mukhya Anga. That even when one's dormant love for Krishna awakens, association of devotee is still most essential. That whether we are liberated or whether we are not liberated, we need the association of devotees. And so the more we hear about the importance of associating with devotees, the more it should dawn on us how we are so fortunate to be living in the society of Krishna conscious centers, facilities where Prabhupada has just given everything to us on a platter. We don't really have to do anything, especially the younger generation. Everything, we just come to Krishna consciousness and everything is there. The association of devotees, the books, the prasadam, the kirtans, the deities. And so we should feel really grateful for having all these facilities for us that the founder Acharya has given to us. In the similar conversation in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu gives three activities through which we can give up fully our attachment to matter, to material existence. Mahaprabhu says, Sadhu Sangha Krishna Kripa Bhaktira Swabhav Aitina Saba Charai Kare Krishna Bhav. That by the association of devotees, mercy of Krishna, and by the nature of devotional service, one can fully become free from the attachment of material existence and eventually can develop Krishna Bhav, the love for Krishna. So again, first things of those three is the association of devotees. And it is within the association of devotees that we can get the mercy of Krishna. And how would we know if we have mercy of the Lord, mercy of Krishna? We can know that if we have devotional service. Because again, devotional service is not easily available, especially in the other yugas, in the other ages. Executing devotional service was at a very high platform. As Krishna described in the Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, that one should first come to the Brahma Bhuta stage. One should be fully self-realized, should be beyond the conception of the body. And when one should not be lamenting or wanting anything. And after one is in that situation, in that state of mind, then one can start to practice devotional service. But how many of us were on that platform? At least not in my case. And so that's the mercy of Gaur Nitai, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, that they are in this day and age just freely giving devotional service to everyone, something that even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva aspires for. And so again, we should think how fortunate our situation is. That everything is just there for us. In another place in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 5th canto, it is described, mahortikad yasya samagamat chame, that just by a moment association, mahortikad, momentary association of advanced devotees, one can become free from all false prestige, all kind of material ill conceptions, and become fully detached from material world. And so the more we orient our lifestyle in such a way that we can associate with the devotees, the more we have the mercy of Krishna and more we will have devotional service. And when we have that association of association of devotees, one might think, well, yeah, I live with devotees. I live in a facility where devotees are. I don't really feel that I have mercy of Krishna, or I don't really feel fortunate. But we should analyze and see, what are we doing in the association of devotees? What is the purpose of association of devotees? The purpose is that to read and chant and glorify Krishna. Satam prasanga mama virya samvido. In the association of devotees, when we discuss the pastimes and the activities of Krishna, bhavan hit karma rasayana katha, the pastimes, the narrations becomes very sweet to the ear and the heart. And so when we are associating with devotees, it's not that we can just, it's not like a social skill that we can just hang out and consider that as the association. But actually we should, in a very sensitive and intelligent way, bring about the interactions and conversations and discussions about activities that will accelerate our Krishna conscious practice. I recently heard a class and there was this verse from 4th canto, the prayers of the Prachetas after they performed austerities and they saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it was really interesting to hear what they prayed to the Lord. Yavat te mayaya sprishta brahmama iha karmabhi tavat bhavet prasangam na sanga shyan na bhave. They prayed that, my dear Lord, as long as we remain in this material existence, because of material contamination, and we wander from one type of body to another, from one planet to another, our only prayer is that we may associate with those who are engaged in discussing your pastimes. And we pray for this benediction life after life, meaning that they were not really eager to ask for liberation, to ask for, to go back to Godhead, to the spiritual world. All they wanted is the association of devotees with whom they can engage in discussing the pastimes of the Lord. And in the purport, Prabhupada describes that by sincere chanting and hearing the activities of the Lord brings about the presence of the Lord. That just by when we are sincerely trying to chant and hear and sincerely making attempts to make advancement in devotional service, come closer to Krishna, just by that sincere act brings about the presence of Krishna in our life. So that's how powerful association of devotees is when done in the right way. And that's how powerful devotional service is. All the activities of all our devotional activities, whether it be hearing, chanting, all the 64 activities mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion. It reminds me of one incident that again I heard this last week. This incident that Jiva Goswami relates. He relates this incident that there is a hawk who is in the mouth of a dog and is almost about to die. And the dog is, circumambulating the temple. And as we know, circumambulating the deity, the temple, is one of the prime bhakti activities. And so the hawk is in the mouth of a dog, almost about to die. And the dog is wandering, circumambulating the temple. And the hawk dies and goes back to Godhead. Because it was engaged in the act of circumambulating the temple. Although it was done unintentionally, Jiva Goswami says, still the hawk went back to Godhead. So that shows how strong devotional service is, that when done unintentionally can give us the highest result, can give us the highest destination. So what to speak of when done with sincere motivation and intention? Why do we feel that, Krishna will not accept us, or things are very difficult, there's no chance for me, I'm just here in the city, in LA, just wandering, struggling just to chant my rounds. No, just by our sincere endeavor, Krishna is noticing how we are making attempts to practice Krishna consciousness. And the more we make that attempt in the forefront of life while we are performing our responsibilities, whether in the household life or as a single person, whatever be our material situation, just by that sincere endeavor attracts the mercy of Krishna. And so I'll stop here and see if senior devotees have any comments. Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. I'd like to congratulate you on giving a beautiful class while skillfully, tactfully, and diplomatically avoiding what Prabhupada seems to be emphasizing in the purport, the detriment, the negative effect of association with women. So my question is this. If the aim of the Krishna consciousness movement is to give people spiritual life, and if we're hearing in the purport, Prabhupada's very clearly and emphatically emphasizing how bad it is, how negative it is factor it is to associate with women. Why did Prabhupada allow women into the Krishna conscious movement in the first place? Why not just altogether?
Well, that's why Prabhupada is the Acharya. He knows how to understand what the previous Acharyas are saying. And how I read this purport, this verse is, when Prabhupada is talking about women in particular, I see it as the principle of sense enjoyment, the principle of sensuality is being emphasized, and that's the focus. It's not that we should focus on just what is being said here, avoid association of women in any way, shape or form. Well, it's not really practical, and plus Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita that whether one is a Shudra, one is a woman, they can still practice bhakti, they can still practice devotional service. So on one side, Krishna is saying that anyone can take up bhakti practice, and on the other side we are hearing that we should avoid the association of the opposite sex to make advancement. And so in order to reconcile these two statements, how I see it is, it's the emphasis on this verse is on avoiding the association of persons, whether men or women, for whom the foundation of life is sensuality. And when when we read the purport with that principle, then it becomes easier to understand what Prabhupada is trying to say. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to preach, and it will be very difficult to keep our society going. I was just hearing this Prabhupada memory a couple of days before, and this one Mataji was describing this incident, that how back in the days many female devotees, female disciples of Prabhupada, they had this conception, this idea that because we are women, we can't make any advancement. And she was saying that because I'm a woman and I have children, I can't make any advancement. I won't be able to go back to Godhead. And so one day in Vrindavan, she somehow gathered the courage to went up to Prabhupada, and she burst out crying, saying that, Prabhupada, I'm a woman, I have children, there's no way I can get your mercy, there's no way I can make advancement. And Prabhupada said, very calmly, he said, are you reading my books? And she said, yes, I'm reading your books, I'm reading everything that's been published so far. And Prabhupada said, then you are pleasing me, and you will go back to Godhead. And so, I think what we have this idea of taking things to an extreme level. And so when I was hearing that memory, it was a bit shocking how, back in the days, like, females had that idea. But we should mature our attitude to understand the subtleties of the teachings of Prabhupada, what he has given us. And so it's not really the association of women that we should avoid, but it is the association of persons who are for whom the center of life is sense enjoyment, sensuality. That's how I see it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
There is one instance in which Srila Prabhupada was talking to one of his disciples' mother, and two brahmanas from another group came to see Srila Prabhupada. But as they were going to enter, they saw that he was with a woman. And Prabhupada, knowing the culture, he detected. So then he waited, and then later they came, and they have a conversation, like what happened. And they convey that, that's considered to be like a fallen, like being in association. Oh, Prabhupada said, so I'm fallen? I am fallen? He said, no, you, Prabhupada. So the next day, Prabhupada, in a walking conversation, some other devotees continued about that incident. And I can't remember exactly what the devotee asked Prabhupada, but he said, this is what he responded. He said, yes, he said, we have to be, careful. But if you associate with these women, like Vaishnavis, you make spiritual advancement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's the conclusion, is just that Krishna consciousness transcends anyone who joins the bhakti yoga process, transcends any gender, any other thing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes some people, they try to pick up little things that Prabhupada said, and they divert, making him look really bad, mm-hmm. Like what's going on. But actually Prabhupada's above that.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, we'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki, Control Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Gaur Premanandi. Try to give a class.
That was very nice.
Thank you.